Hi guys, how are you? I hope you're well. I hope you're well. I just finished one live and I want to get into this one because I've been meaning to talk about this. It's a very important thing that we have to talk about, especially as parents and young parents. We are needed to call out the power in our children because the devil has programmed it that we destroy our children with our tongues. Yeah. um yeah, so I really need to talk about this, and it has been loading for a while, but I hadn't come around to it. I've been meaning to come and do several lives and just cover the things that have been in my heart to speak. Um, life is so tricky. Every time I talk about things family, I always go back to the fact that uh, look, the world has many times evolved in certain ways, and some people emerged stronger than others, and some would take advantage of others or just seek to prevail in a way and just be the world leaders. Yeah, but I always look at our community. Yeah, and I always raise the issue that a while ago, uh our forefathers were living in their ways, yeah, in their traditions and their culture, and it seemed to be working. Yeah, it was great. They had hunters and gatherers, they had everything going for them. They were okay, right? And then during colonial times, a lot of things changed. Yeah, the system changed. And for you to change the system, a people's system, do you know what has to happen? You have to subdue them. Yeah, and life is spiritual. There's so much so much tricks and lies in life that you cannot catch it if you're not aware that life is spiritual. Yeah, but for anything to happen, for anything to take place in our circumstances or in the physical world, it has to happen, it has to first happen in the spiritual. Okay. uh it's been like that for a while. And one thing I always like, our daughters and even the people who have been hustling so much, they didn't put thought in this. Maybe you're coming into in recognition of yourself as a people, and understanding more about yourselves, and wondering perhaps why things are the way they are, and why you live a certain way or you hustle a certain way, or whatever it is that you're going through, uh could be have started somewhere in the spiritual, but you didn't realize. And that is why I like to mention my people and just bring consciousness to this. Yeah, because a lot happened, a lot has been done to change our systems, yeah, the way they were. And a lot, we have adopted a lot, a lot of things, a lot of changes in order to accommodate the new life. And in doing that, we accommodated the good, the bad, and the evil. Okay, so there's a lot of good that came with it, but also a lot of evil. Okay, so if you're a mom doing life, or have been for a long time, and have been seeing the changes in life, then you know what I'm talking about. We see a rise in society where a lot of kids went through so much trauma growing up, and now what we are seeing is kids who are getting the voice and saying, I don't want this, and a lot of things that they don't want. Yeah, and majorly of which is children. They say they don't want children, and that means they don't want continuity. Now, because I have children, you would think that I don't understand, but I do. And I want this I want this discussion to begin. Yeah, and then it will go where it will. Yeah. um In my life, I have discovered that I'm a pioneer in so many things, in so many ways. Whatever I have ever started has been picked by others, and they went, ahead to do great things with that. Yeah. And you observe but cannot do or say anything, because at some point you realize that that is how God is using you. Yeah. And as He's using you to do a thing, you can only, He allows you to see. He allows you to see it and know how it is working. Yeah. And you understand that this is what He's doing with your life. Yeah. So I start things and then somebody else, will come and take over. But I know also I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people that God uses to start a thing, a lot of pioneers, some who have even gone into it, gotten uh, a lot of knowledge about it, yeah, and speak about it, okay, or just do write-ups and all of that, yeah. So it's just that I haven't looked, but I know it's a lot. A lot of times, sometimes I don't look just so that I don't mix up what I'm trying to say or what has been given in my heart, even though I know I may not reach the depth of it, yeah. But I wanted us to look at the things that are given in the word, one of which is Proverbs 22:6, which says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." Okay, and the next one is Proverbs 18:21. "Life and death are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat of the fruit thereof." Okay, so we come from a people, and I'm loving to see the discussion out there on the internet, people saying that it seems we had the same parents, right? A lot of things were happening the same way, and people feel like, oh my God, this was happening in my house too, yeah? Especially, growing up, you saw your parents behave a certain way, you say it, and it turns out that it's a lot of other people who have experienced the same, yeah? And sometimes we talk about the trauma, the hurt, and some people went into bitterness because of what they experienced as children. Yeah. And I always say, for a government, a certain government, yeah, to be able to prevail and get uh, to where they want its people to go, or in the direction that they want to go. And this is an example I have used with the young wives in my life, is that sometimes even when we sit down to talk about the injustices, about what is happening in your house, and it is so painful, oh, this guy did that and this and that, I always tell them, yeah, hoping that they will connect. When the government is making changes and wants, for a lot of progress to come into the country, they do not come to you and say, oh, I'm listening to all these complaints. They will make roads, they will make changes in the education system, they will put up system, yeah, so to I think that is a better way to put it. They will put up system which will work for everybody, because your problem, you just don't know it, you think you're alone because it is happening in your house at that time. And maybe you've compared notes with a few people. Some raise their eyebrows because everybody is expecting the grass is greener on the other side. Some will raise eyebrows, some will confirm that that is happening to me too. But you won't be able to help yourself much unless there are systems in place, yeah? That is what the government does. Now, kids do not know when they're growing in a home, but that is also what your parents do, okay? When they discover that there's a problem that is affecting this home, whether it is financial, whether it is discipline, and all of that, they discuss, yeah, about what they will do that will change the direction or the trajectory that this family is taking, yeah. But when a people are subdued, yeah, there is nothing that is happening for this family except survival, okay? When people are struggling to just survive, to just put food on the table, to just get the kids educated, such that they stop living the life they once dreamed they would, they let go of their dreams and their goals, like they are afflicted themselves, yeah, by the system of the day. There are some things that will happen to them. And I always say that love is usually lacking in such arenas, and the children get affected, yeah? So that the goal is just to raise these children so that they can grow up and take care of us, okay? And growing up, especially in Africa, and let's say Kenya, and in the settings that I grew up, we didn't have a lot of privilege, yeah. And so we understood, early on, that we have to grow and help out our families, yeah. And whenever a family did not have both parents, or even if they did, but it wasn't so functional because the parents were trying to survive and overcome uh, the issues that were plaguing them. Maybe some were just trying to survive by getting into uh, drugs, addictions, and all of that, and just some toxic behaviors, yeah. It would affect the children and they would not know. Okay, so sometimes when you talk to our parents, especially my age, yeah, in the middle ages now, so my parents are older, yeah, and it's a lot of us who now understand you're grown now, you have to take care of your parents as well as your children. But then you see that the things that you've compromised on, because we are the last we are among the last we are in the last stages of that, yeah. You see your children taking a different turn, yeah, and they're speaking. What they're doing is refuting, the system. They're saying, I cannot take this. What you endured, I do not care. I don't know why you allowed it, but I'm not going to endure it myself. I'm going to change, yeah. We are calling them the Gen Zs. They are a people strong and mighty, and they have the power to refute what system they do not agree with, yeah. And now it's a collective. We are there, we have come this far, yeah. We have this generation that is exposing the ills in society and in our homes, and they're coming together regardless of race and tribe, and they're saying we do not want this anymore. They are rising above every system that subdued the generations before, yeah. So whatever it is that you went through, whatever it is that your parents went through, they do not care. What they're saying is that I want change, and for change to happen, this is the trajectory I'm taking. I don't care if it hurts anyone. And we may call them selfish, but what they're doing is seeking contentment for themselves the easy way. They want it soft. They're going for it. They're working hard for themselves to get what they want, and it seems like they do not care about anyone else. And if you try to just press one down, yeah, the rest are coming for you. Now, I'm saying all this to say we had a duty, yeah, and we had systems in place, especially as a people, to raise our children to know what they are called for before they ever, when we were in Africa, we used to say that, oh, in America, you don't even have to go through this school system. They just check the gifts you have, and they empower you and train you according to the gifts you have. And so you become what you always want, yeah? And I would wonder, what if a kid doesn't know what they want? What then? What happens, to that child? And they're like, oh, you get exposed to so many things. And it seems like a very nice, special system that allows people to just uh, to just find a really good nurturing and then pop into what they're supposed to be and live happily ever after. That is how it was marketed, yeah, to all these countries, that are packing up and coming to this side and wherever else, to the first world countries, for greener pastures. That is what was marketed to us, yeah. Then we come over here and find that it is not so. You have to be away from these children, especially for hours and hours. You try to employ, the disciplines from the old country, where you're like, oh, everybody must do their duties here. And so that we can maintain this home. Who do you think will do all these things alone? And they're like, you know what? We didn't even ask you for this, we don't care. Find a way, find a system to cope, yeah. And you're like, the same things that we used to receive from our parents, when you grow up, you will see, okay. And in a way, it seemed like it was a curse, and in a way, it was, yeah. In a way, it was coming from a place of bitterness, yeah, where some kids even endured a lot of curses from their parents, okay. And a lot of them grew up not knowing who they are and their power that God wanted them to have, yeah. And they shunned everything that was put in the system by God, because God speaks to people, God speaks to the leaders of your communities. You just don't know it, yeah. And everything that happens is spiritual, and that is how you know, systems are set the way they are, okay? So there's a godly system, there's an evil system, but we don't look at these things, especially at the home level. We think we're just raising children to grow up, pick up a duty or a responsibility and just serve us, okay? Because at some point we realize that we'll be too tired to do it. Now, there's a lie from the devil that has been destroying the continuity that God wanted us to have. And that is why you see even God speaking about marriage and just calling the remnants who he has done or given miracles too, because some are considered miracles, because you're like, there's no way that God would restore a thing like this, yeah. If I was God, I would let it unravel, yeah. And a lot of times we say when the wickedness has taken over, especially in the world system like this, we expect that God will just fold up this earth and, you know, finish it, because people are not following his rules. We have gone against everything he has ever led us into, and so we are, you know, he will just finish us, yeah. And we even wait in posture, you know, we position ourselves to be taken away, to be finished. And we keep looking at the word. When you see these signs, yeah, it is the world coming to an end, yeah. But every time that wickedness has ruled or evil has ruled for a long time, because they have that legality, yeah, it comes from your evil altars. Again, I said nothing happens without a spirit behind it. And so you may not know it, but for the world to be the way it is, and I want you to look at your community, yeah. For me, I always say 4 generations ago, our people went into some sort of captivity, okay? That was colonialism, and it affected people. Their lives changed. At some point when they tried to fight back, they were actually a state of emergency was declared in Kenya, okay? So that ended up wiping out a lot of our male figures, yeah. Some went into war and never came back. A lot changed in that in those communities, yeah. And so there was a lot of brokenness that was faced in many places. And when you talk about these things, at some point there are certain areas of our community that was not touched, and they wouldn't relate, yeah. But for me, where I come from, I've always wondered, why is in this place growing? It is so fertile. We never even used to see stone houses until so much later. But all I'm saying is that there was lack of fathers, yeah. Just the community, just the marriage as it's supposed to be, as it was set, you know, with what God had in mind for marriage, in order to be able to raise a godly offspring, was destroyed. And that was the plan, so that our children can be destroyed. I don't think there's a more direct word. It is for our children to be destroyed. When marriage is broken, when society is broken, is so that our homes are destroyed and our children are destroyed, and they change their mind and they face you like that. Just the same way you will believe a thing, even as a prophet, and put your face, you know, face circumstances with your face as a flint and say, this is what I believe and this is what goes. This is the same way the children are facing us. They will come and say, I have, you know, my gender is fluid and that is what is up. I'm not going to get married. That is it. I'm not going to get children. That is what I feel like. And so we are going to face a generation that lacks continuity. And though it may seem like it's a small matter, to God it is not, okay? And that is why you see a rise in marriage restoration. This is what God wants us to do. He has a remnant in everything that God wants to restore. There is a remnant. So you may look around and say everything is destroyed, yeah. And especially for people who have relocated, hi diasporians, yeah, you who are looking at marriage like, what? I cannot, you know, and letting go, there's still going to be a remnant, yeah. When you let go, still God understands, because he loves his child and wants to preserve, yeah. He is preserving, you know, a lot of his children, because sometimes your strength is in one, you're stronger alone, because you find that when your peace is disturbed, you cannot function anymore. And so if you make a choice that suits you in a particular way, God will support you, especially if you take him as your husband, as your maker and your husband. If you turn to him and not the system in the world, then he will be able to play that part for you. Yeah. The Bible says in Isaiah 54:13, I will take care of your children and great shall be their peace. Okay. Now, if you came here because of the title, you must have seen that I said your children are kings and queens, and you should call that out in them and spot the lies, because a lot of children are too broken to understand who they are, and they think that their life is about them. It begins with them and it ends with them, and so it is very hard to talk to them about continuity, because what is that? Why should I bring a child in this dysfunction and in this world? Yeah, but there's still a remnant, and that remnant may have come from very torn places. Okay, I don't know if you've ever seen movies where it's like movies that are featuring a zombie apocalypse, and it's like everything is destroyed, everything is looking so old and damaged, and then you see from it's like there's a part, there's a building where these people were hiding and they escaped that the zombies. Yeah, there's a remnant, and they fight to the end. Yes. So much so that they get to survive, even though everybody is destroyed in their world, they stand up and out. Yeah, and it's like it's upon them to bring continuity, because there's a reason why you survive, there's a reason why you stand despite everything. Okay, but having said that, we have parents, and now I'm talking to the parents, uh and not what to do with the children, but we have parents who have fought tooth and nail just to survive for their children, but they are living under a curse, not one that comes from God because of the idol worshipping, but one that the devil has taken advantage and used afflicted parents to pass on a curse. Okay, so you speak how you were spoken to, because you have no other resources. Yeah, when you dig down in yourself, because with every gift that you'll be given, you'll be tested. Okay, so you're given children and you're like, oh, he's so precious, he's so cute, I will call him this wonderful name, Jabali. It speaks of strength, he's so king-like. Yeah, but as you raise this child, he doesn't look anything king or queenly. Okay, and at some point, because you're so afflicted, you're looking at the productivity or at the profit this child is supposed to bring, but you don't see it at all. You look and you do not see, and you're like, I'm aging now, shouldn't I be seeing better? And you sort of now begin to speak. And like I said, from Proverbs 18:21, the tongue has power of life and death. If there's one thing that we grew up knowing and hearing, is that the tongue is such a small organ, but it can destroy. Yeah, it can set fire into places. Yeah, ulimi kiumbe kidogo, lakini matatizo yake ni makubwa, or something like that. There used to be a Swahili song that was going that way. Yeah, the tongue has the power of life and death, and we have seen in times where a curse is running its course in a family, and you see that especially homes, because what happens with homes that are destroyed, the men disappear. Yeah, and I always mention in this channel that when the men disappear, because it seems like the most obvious thing to happen, that a man will sire a child with a woman, and when things get hard, he will even speak to his own mother and be like, I cannot take what is happening, and the mother will be like, I raised you alone by myself, so let her do it, because she's giving you trouble. And a lot of men do not experience or do not understand the value of being a father and being there for their children. Yeah, a while ago I covered a topic where I was saying that fathers are very important in life, because they're not even supposed, or they're not given to speak much. I don't know about your father. There's some fathers who speak a lot when it comes to matters in the society, but they will be quiet when it comes to the family. And it's like they have this kingly character where they don't just speak anything to the children, especially when it is negative. Yeah. Now, you would think that is by design, and yes, it's by God's design. You would think they are pretending, or they don't speak when the woman expects them to speak, but it's actually by God's design. Yeah. They're held back from speaking what would destroy these children. Okay. A lot of times we see, or we have conditioned ourselves to believe that when a father has a daughter, then we always say like daughters are close to their fathers and boys are close to their mom. Yeah. But for a person who has same-sex children, like in my house, I have seen, even when they were little, there were children who were closer to me and some were closer to their fathers. Like it would happen naturally. Yeah. And you would see that they understand each other, or they have a lot of things in common. Yeah. But what I could see is that, as I am, raising my family, I was given to more talk, yeah, and instructions, because I want things to be done a certain way. So I would be the one who is instructing. In Proverbs, I see a man talking to his son and talking about telling him to never forsake the wisdom of his father and the instruction of his mother, because it is women who are given to instructing their children, in the matters of running their home. That is nothing new. We may want it to change, and want, like some roles have changed, and of course we must adjust to the society. But when we see what God is doing, especially with our homes, I'm trying to find this verse. Uh, I'm looking at Proverbs chapter 4. My children, listen when your father corrects you. Pay attention and learn good judgment, for I am giving you good guidance. Don't turn away from my instruction, for I too was once my father's son, tenderly loved as my mother's only child. My father taught me, take my words to heart, follow my commands, and you will live. Get wisdom, develop good judgment. Don't forget my words or turn away from them. Don't turn your back on wisdom, for she will protect you. Love her, and she will guard you. Getting wisdom is the wisest thing you can do, and whatever else you do, develop good judgment. If you prize wisdom, she will make you great. Embrace her, and she will honor you. She will place a lovely wreath on your head. She will present you with a beautiful crown. My child, listen to me and do as I say, and you will have a long, good life. I will teach you wisdom's ways, and lead you in straight paths. When you walk, you won't be held back. When you run, you won't stumble. Take hold of my instructions. Don't let them go. Guard them, for they are the key to your life. Don't do as the wicked do, and don't follow the path of evildoers. Don't even think about it. Don't go that way. Turn away and keep moving. Um, I'm trying to see, even though that is so good and rich, I'm trying to see like where it says, do not leave the instructions of your mother, or something like that. Yes, son. I'm sorry. Says, my son, pay close attention, friend, to what your father tells you. Never forget what you learned at your mother's knee. It is Proverbs 1, 8 to 19, and it talks about all of that. Yeah, but really, it's usually in most communities, even the most developed ones, I find that mothers will have this system in running their homes and just instructing their children what to do. My son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. And it so happens that in most houses, it's the woman who keeps the law. Yeah, it's like the instructions on how the house will run comes from the woman. Yeah, and so she instructs, even the routines and setups. She's the one who does. Yeah, like it's the home belongs to her. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if it was because of how the system was set or whatever. The children saw what their mothers going through, and it seems like they had the most work. Yeah, and some of them were led, some of the mothers were led to believe that this is the worst work that they can have, in running this home. And so they scorned it. Yeah, and especially when it comes to a point where they are having financial troubles, they have been known to curse their children. And that is what I'm coming to, because when you're afflicted, uh you're very easy to curse. Yeah, and if there's one thing as we start this new year we should look at, is how we've been speaking, especially due to anger or affliction. Yeah, the devil is in that detail, because we've been given to a lot or much talk, and we've been attacking our children. And a lot of times, and especially the saddest thing I've seen, is when children are coming into marriage. Yeah, and it's like, whatever, because of what you know about your child, you do not believe that they can stand, in marriage, that they're strong enough even for their suitors. Yeah, you're like, I don't even know what this person sees in that child. Yeah, and now more than ever, as my kids are growing, I am coming to understand that feeling, and even seeing it reflected by other mothers. Yeah, and what I can say is that you can think things, but when you mouth them, it's like you give rein to the devil to take over and just torment. Yeah, and you do not understand how much that how much harm that does. I have worked with a certain friend whose father was very strong and loving and just very protective to his daughter. And she would say, oh my God, I was too sheltered from so many things, and I feel like I didn't thrive. But then I see what my father was protecting me from. And that is like what we see a father doing for his children, just being a canopy, being a cover. Yeah. And that is what, like, even in the Bible, you see God talking to the widow or to Jerusalem as a woman and saying, I'll be a husband to the woman who doesn't have, a husband. And he says that he will come in when your husband is not there, for the woman who has been left, for one who doesn't have a husband, for one who has been widowed. God will step in and cover you. Why? Because you are needed to have that cover. Okay, it may come through your husband or the father of your children, or come through this man. And I may seem like I'm so out of touch, but I'm telling you, if you do not see what God has put in your children first, you will end up destroying them, because somebody needs to stand up and speak greatness into the children. Yeah, and understand that it is not some special breeds who are made to be kings. Yeah, I have seen an evil under the earth, let me talk like Solomon, where mothers are agreeing with daughters to just go after certain men so that they can get the wealth faster, because this particular family is suffering, they need a savior. And so they take advantage of what youth and you know agility and beauty that this child has, and just go after, encourage them to go after particular people. And in so doing, more often than not, they are walking away from the person that God fashioned for them, and has a great plan that when these two people come together, even though it doesn't look like it, because no seed looks like the fruit. Have you ever seen a seed that looks like the fruit? Like a tiny mango, that when you plant, you get a bigger mango. You've never seen that. Yeah, so no seed looks like the fruit. No early beginnings look like the end. So God has this grand plan for your children, but either you see the value in your child and use it wrong, or you don't see the value at all, so that when you see your child in their small beginnings, you may scorn that. Yeah, and just give your mouth to cursing what they carry. I have seen families where a girl would get married, and more often it would be to, especially when they are married to a narcissist. You know what narcissistic men do, because there are a lot of narcissistic women too. They will befriend the whole family, be sweet on everybody, but what they're taking the girl through, you cannot imagine. And you find that the girl's people will say to this man, just get rid of her, she's not worth it, she's not worth it, because he's playing a game. But the people in the family, the girl's family, do not understand that they're coming into agreement with the destroyer. This person is being used as a vessel to destroy. And so there ends up being so many years of suffering, a lot of loopholes, yeah, that we open the door to the devil because we want ease. We want ease. We want ease for our lives. We do not care what happens to our children, okay? So we do not raise them. Sometimes we don't train them. We do not care. We just want the result. We want this child to bring better, like so's and so's child, yeah? But we don't even see that the problem this child is going through, or whatever demon they are fighting, comes from us, comes from our lineage, comes from our bloodline, yeah? The demons you come in agreement with are affecting your children, and you do not know. You do not fight with them for them. You do not fight for them. You fight with them, and you break them. You break them too much for them to have quality marriages, or marriages that can stand at all, okay? A lot of our children are fighting our battles. We are expecting to be in a place where marriages are working the same, but you do not understand that even the people that your children are with or coming into, into marriage with, are designed to destroy the evil altars in your family. And these children need to be ushered into their greatness. It is only by them going through that process, and for you guys to be holding on and praying for them, that they will succeed. I'm reminded of a time where the Israelites, I think, were fighting with the Amalekites or something like that, yeah? In this instance where the I think it's Aaron and somebody else had to hold Moses's hands up, yeah? And the whole time when his hands were up, the Israelites would be winning the battle. But whenever they got tired and Moses put his hands down, the Israelites would be defeated in battle. And one thing I have mentioned but have not really gotten into is the spiritual age that parents get into, yeah? I don't remember either side of my family get talking about this, but when I look back at the signs and the things that they were saying at that time, I realized that they actually were at a spiritual stage as we were coming into marriage, and there are certain things they would say or allow or speak over us that now makes me understand. It seems like yesterday, but I understand now what they saw. And despite our youth and despite our foolishness, they would let us just lead, and we would also be shocked that, are we getting, are they letting us do this, because we would consider ourselves children, not knowing that in the wisdom that God had given certain parents, he was actually giving them wisdom to let us. That would be called letting go of your child, because you trust and believe that they have been well equipped for the journey ahead, yeah? And when I speak about these things, I'm speaking mostly in marriage, because the responsibility and the duty ahead of your children, the things that they're supposed to accomplish and still be able, mature, healed enough to raise another generation. This hasn't been said enough, but to raise a generation, we need strong people. We need strong men and women. We need warriors. We need prayer warriors who do not let up. When you know that God has called you to be a prayer warrior in your family, you realize that that is your job. There's no rest. There's no rest under the sun, You understand that this is what you're called to. Other people may be rejoicing, may be having fun. That is their time. They have come into that, and somebody paid a price for that, yeah? They are in their dancing season. They have broken through into the land of blessing. If I dare say it is an actual land, yeah? They have come into that, but your family hasn't. And so God has called you to a particular thing. There are people who are called into a marriage where it seems like struggle the whole way, but if they stand, they are going to actually break into a thing. They are going to witness their children enjoying the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. And you will feel it too, because you have endured, you have led them, you have believed and let go of them, because you regard them as kings and queens. That is what they are becoming. Now, what is a king and a queen? These are people given to the responsibility of running their nations. And we don't think about this often, but if we treat kings and queens like paupers, it's like that example given where, a thing so evil is like the example where a servant is riding a horse while princes walk, such that a man has become a father, but they do not know what their role is. They do not understand their authority. A woman has become a mother, and these people have been pregnant with the possibility of becoming leaders of this family, which is their nation, but nobody calls out the greatness in them and points out to the responsibility that this is. It is just a matter of, are you successful or not? That is what like everybody is looking at, but you don't understand the responsibility there is into raising strong and mighty men who are supposed to break or begin a new thing in the family. It takes strong warriors to open or close doors to evil, and that is what God is ushering us into, a place of blessing, a place where He reigns in righteousness, so that we can shun the evil that has been, especially for afflicted families. So we got afflicted and we started cursing. We've been cursing. I, for one, have been cursing and refuting that, or taking that back, or fighting, wrestling with that spirit that has caused me to curse my children. It's not easy. And my heart goes out to every person. And that is why our children look at us and they're like, I don't want children. I don't want to go through this. I can't. I don't want to bother. I don't want that responsibility on me. I'll just have my cats or my dog. No children. No children. I just want to be without the children. And we don't understand that there has to be a continuity. You may say this world is full of people, but you don't understand it's about your generation, yours, the continuity of your family. Okay? The Lord has done great and mighty things, especially when relocating people, so that they might just survive, so that they might have a chance at continuity in their family. But sometimes we don't get it, because the devil is in the detail. And when we are bitter, it is, especially for those who have relocated, because this is actually something that is very close to the heart of God. And He's speaking for those who have relocated, yeah, and have been given to bitterness because they've been grabbed this way and that way. It's been a pull and tug. They cannot settle into the land the Lord has given them. They end up sinning so much and making so many compromises. They forget the God who brought them, because they have to survive, yeah? They are trying so hard to survive and make bread. And yet God has called them to a thing. They don't get to serve Him in that thing. They don't get to establish or help the children settle. And they have only been relocated because there's a curse on this family that they must break. There's a generational curse that they must break. And when we see these things happen that we consider blessings, we forget that they're not happening because we are very good people. They're happening because there has been a wickedness with other people, and God wants to still establish His covenant with the people He called unto Himself. I'm going to read from Deuteronomy chapter 9. where the Lord makes it clear it's all because of the goodness of your hearts. You're not good people. I'm not saving you, and I'm not relocating you, and I'm not settling you because you're good. And this is where Moses was reminding the people why God saved them. Deuteronomy chapter 9 says, "Listen, O Israel, today you're about to cross the river Jordan to take over the land belonging to nations and much greater and more to a nation that is much greater and more powerful than you. They live in cities with walls that reach to the sky. The people are strong and tall, descendants of the famous Anakite giants. You've heard the saying, who can stand up to the Anakites? But recognize today that the Lord your God is the one who will cross over ahead of you like a devouring fire to destroy them. He's going to destroy these giants for your sake, so that you can enter the land and settle and be established as a people, because he no longer wants you to be slaves of a system that subdued you, but he wants you to live as the people, his people that he has called to be established on earth as his people, a representative of him, you know. I'm trying to remember, godly offspring. That is the word I'm looking for. But recognize today that the Lord your God is the one who will cross over ahead of you like a devouring fire to destroy them. He will subdue them so that he will quickly conquer them and drive them out, just as the Lord has promised. After the Lord your God has done this for you, don't say in your hearts, the Lord has given us this land because we are such good people. And that is something a lot of people forget when they are doing life, when God lets them pursue a thing or come into a thing. We think it is because we are really good people. We are like, oh my God, I can't imagine that he missed that he missed my sins, he missed my weaknesses. He's going to give me these things. He is going to entrust me with this great thing. I must be some kind of, so after the Lord your God has done this for you, don't say in your heart, the Lord has given us this land because we are such people. That is not why he's doing it. He's doing it because a time has come for him to rescue his people and establish them. He's giving them another chance, not because he doesn't know what happens when these people settle. They always adjust to the place they are living. They want to live like those people. They they worship their gods, their idols. They get into the sin again, and you would think it is them, it is those Israelites. Yeah, but think about what happened when God gave you that thing. Did you teach your children about God, about the great Jehovah Shammah, who brought them across from that land, guiding them, protecting them, fighting for them, raising them, processing them, teaching them, so that when they occupy the land, they're actually ready and able to occupy. But as they come into this land, you're saying you really cannot. You're just a weak person because your children are not serving your purposes. You're cursing them because they're not serving your purposes. And you forget, like what I was mentioning, that spiritual age. You have come to a place where you can call upon God on behalf of your children. You may not be physically able or strong enough to fight for your children, but that is the spiritual era where you are meeting God face to face, begging, pleading for your children that they may do greater, that they may be like an arrow shot, from a warrior's what is this bow, and shooting forth way farther than you could ever reach. Yeah, that is what your children are supposed to be, greater than you. No, it is because of the wickedness of the other nations that he's pushing them out of your way. He is making room for you. You do not just occupy empty lands, you occupy lands that have been occupied by others more stronger than you, that were doing well in this land. But God is making space for you, making a land for you to occupy because you're his people, not because you're good. He's just giving you favor. He's making a way in a place that is occupied. Do you get that? you know he's giving you a chance so that you can come into your blessing. No, it is because of the wickedness of other nations that he's pushing them out of the way. He could have let them enjoy, but because they've been wicked, now the place that these people are, they could have stayed, but it is time for God to rescue his people. And now he's putting them in a land that has previously been occupied. But because these people are wicked and they will never ever serve him, you know, he keeps giving the chance to these people. They could have been wiped out. He could wipe his people out and forget they ever existed. But because of the pleading of Moses, he would just reestablish them again, give them another chance. That 40-year-old journey was about God giving the people a chance. And some generations would be wiped out. They never got to see the land, yeah? Because every time they were given a chance, they did not see who they were. Now, I'm calling unto somebody to realize that you have been called. You guys have been called. Your family has been called. You may look at yourself as grasshoppers, as weak, as not able, as people who are still fighting so much evil, as people who are victimized all the time. You're attacked all the time. And you do not know that you're attacked. You face all these things because you're a blessed nation, yeah? If you could just change your mind, because that is what God is calling you to do now. You're the remnant. God is calling you to change, to renew your mind and see who you are and what he's calling you to, so that you can pass the same to your children, okay? Your children are kings and queens, but you've been lied to. They've been lied to. They don't want the job anymore. They're like, no, miss me with that because it is too painful, it is hard, and they have not seen you reflect the glory. Your words have been just curses. When women are suffering in marriages, they cannot give good instructions. They give bitter and negative instruction. But the Lord said through Solomon, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. But your training has been one that is jaded with bitterness and pain, yeah? I'm reading verse 5 of chapter 9 of Deuteronomy. It is not because you are good or have such integrity that you are about to occupy the land. The Lord your God will drive out these nations out ahead of you, only because of their wickedness, and to fulfill the oath he swore to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You must recognize that the Lord your God is not giving you this good land because you're good, for you are not. You're stubborn people. And you see how that has been repeated many, many times so that it can be communicated, because as you come into your blessing, because there are a lot of people who are coming into the blessing of relocation. I mentioned that the people who are relocating now are not the ones that are relocating because they are wealthy or because they are able. It is the mercy of God that the remnants are able to escape, systems that could never lift them up. Yeah, there are people who have been subdued. They have been the slaves, even in their own countries. They're the ones who have been doing the dirty jobs. And God is giving you another chance to come into a land, not because you're the best, not because you did good. Yeah, you've been so stubborn. Every time you got a chance, you were failing. Is that you? Because that has been me too, you know. And now God is giving you another chance. But the way you enter, you have to renew your mind. And when you renew your mind, you will see your children as how God wants to see, because God is not is not going to let somebody else call out the king in your children. You will miss out if you never do this, because it is given to you. It is authority given to you to change your mind where your children are concerned. And even when you feel like it's too late, somebody like me, usually I feel like I've done so many mistakes, yeah? And I realize that the only way to correct this is in the secret place, to talk to my Father again, yeah? And petition again and say, Lord, I was wrong. There was a time I was, foolish, but now I repent And I ask for another chance in the secret place, that God, you take over, because I couldn't, And I must say, the time that I allowed God, out of learning Isaiah 54:13, to take over my children, He did immeasurably more than I could ask or imagine, because that's what He does, yeah? So it is not by power or by strength. As I finish, I must remind you that it is not by power or strength that you will have to do this, or you will be able to do this, but by the Spirit of God, yeah? And so we must change. It's all about what we are seeing in the world and just being all, fitting in with the system of the world. This is not what we are called to. When you realize that you're a remnant, that God is saving you now from what has been, from what He'll let you, be in. He let the devil run amok in your family because of idol worship. You are worshiping the same things that you now want to be blessed so you can get into, yeah? You want that finances so that you can roll around like the Joneses. But He's calling you to righteousness with your finances, with everything that He restores you into, with the chances that He gives you, with the relocation. He wants you to return to Him. Return to Him. Return to Him so that He may restore you, okay? So that's the responsibility we are given. Even when it seems like it's so late, even when it seems like your children are too grown, like they're already doing their life, that is what you do. Hand them over. That is what the spiritual age is about. Understanding the spiritual matters. And because the children are yours, you have the legality, yeah? You can take them and hand them over to the Father. And that's what He's been doing, but by taking you back, by taking your children as His Father. And that includes you too. I'm the father of these children. And even all of you to your old age, yeah? You may think you're too old for the Lord to cover or to take care of, but remember, you're His child. You're His child. Give Him back the authority. As God restores you, as you come into your new thing, yeah? Change your mouth. Change the way you speak, yeah? To your children. Call out the King in them. They are better than what you see. Do not call them by what you see. Faith is action. Your faith will cause you to call them, because faith is action. Your faith will cause them to speak life. Speak life. Speak life to these precious ones, yeah? So as I finish, I know this has been kind of slow, but a lot is changing. And one thing I would say, and I know it is so controversial right now, is that you do not accept the circumstances you see, yeah? Your children may be, manifesting a certain way. Do not accept it. Anything that is not of God, you cannot accept. Because should you allow, you can let God, but you cannot accept, okay? So you must ask God to work with you, Let Him. Let go and let God correct all of these things, but do not come into agreement. Do not come into agreement with things that should not be. And sometimes you may not know, but that is why you stay in the secret place, so that God may reveal, yeah? When you stay in the secret place, God reveals to deliver, okay? So I'm waiting for it to hit 1 hour, but I hope the message is home. You must see the lies, yeah? And while I may not say things, I may not spell them out, but there are things that are so unacceptable. One is your children being as grasshoppers. You're sending them afraid into the world. They are broken and afraid. You must speak different. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat of the fruit thereof. Whatever you will see manifesting, whatever will be the fruit of your will be the fruit of your harvest, it's because of what you have spoken. A lot of us recognize that how our lives are is the fruit of our words. It's what we planted, but with our tongue, yeah? So speak life, speak life. And whatever you have sent out that is not right, reclaim it and change that, yeah? Reclaim it and change that and give your children to God. Just know that it's not by power. You don't do this by your own power. See the lies. See the lies. If you bore a king, that's what he is. If you bore a queen, that's what your child is. Speak it out. They may leave you. Sometimes they may renegade. They may become renegades. They may want to go out in the world like the prodigal son. So that is why you don't leave the secret place. That is the responsibility you have. You will only say the positive things because they are given to you in the secret place. You have done good. I'm sorry, I realize that sometimes when I have the computer open, my glasses reflect and I need the glasses too to read. But yeah, I think that has been great for me, especially because I have communicated that, which has been in my heart to do. And I'm so grateful that you guys stayed, along. And I hope that you're going to be able to expound on this because the devil is lying to our children, especially with all the new world systems. This is a new way to subdue because the devil wants to do a thing before his time expires. Yeah, everything that he has been trying to do, all the evil that he had introduced to our families is being turned around. Yeah, the Lord's time for recompense, the Lord's time for restoration has come. And so a lot is going to change, but the devil doesn't want it to be without his blemish, He's put his fangs in this thing, and you must shake it out. You must remove the evil, and that can only be done by prayer and faith. Stand in what you believe. That doesn't mean that you hold your children here, you let them go, but you still stay in the secret place, yeah? Speak, call them as kings, yeah? Not just in their face, but also in the secret places. Refuse what the devil is telling you to say, because the pressure can be, the pressure is real. There's a lot of demons at work to cause you to tremble in fear, but you have remember, the Lord has not given you the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. God can restore the love that was lost, yeah, as you tried to bring these children up with so much scarcity and fear, pain and confusion. He wants you to speak now because he's turning things around for you. It's turning around for you, and it won't always be that way. The Lord, I forget. I forget. That's why I laugh at myself a lot. Anyway, believe in the unbelievable, see the unforeseeable. All things are possible to them that believe. I'm going to leave you with that, and I will see you on the next one. God bless you and keep reading the New Testament with me, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.